My name is Robert. I'm 82 years old. I'm recording this because there are things you carry your whole life, and then one day you realize you've been carrying them alone, and by then it's too late to set them down where they belong.
I want to tell you about my brother. His name was David. He was 3 years younger than me. We grew up in a small town in Pennsylvania, the kind of place where everyone knew your name and your business. We shared a room until I left for college, bunk beds. I took the top. He never complained. David was quieter than me. I was the one who made friends easily, who got picked first for teams, who teachers liked. He hung back, not shy exactly, just softer. He noticed things. He'd point out birds I'd never seen, or the way light came through the kitchen window at a certain time of day. I didn't think much of it then. When I went to college, I came home less and less. I had a girlfriend, I had plans. I was building something I thought mattered. David stayed. He worked at the hardware store downtown, helped Dad with the house, took care of Mom when she started forgetting things. I thought I was the one doing important things. I got married, moved to Pittsburgh, had 2 kids. David stayed in that town, never married. I used to wonder why, but I never asked. We'd talk on the phone every few months, birthdays, holidays, surface things. How's work? Fine. How are you? Good. You? We had a script. I didn't notice we were just reading lines. The last time I saw David, I was 49 years old. He was 46. It was Thanksgiving. I drove back with my family, my wife, the kids, teenagers by then, plugged into their headphones the whole way. We stayed 2 nights. The house felt smaller than I remembered. Mom was gone by then. It was just David and Dad didn't have much time left either. David made dinner. He'd learned to cook after Mom got sick. He was good at it. The turkey was perfect. He remembered I liked cranberry sauce, the kind with whole berries, not the canned stuff. After dinner, we sat in the living room. The TV was on, but no one was really watching. My kids were upstairs. My wife was helping Dad to bed. David and I were alone. He was quiet, not unusual for him, but this was different. I could feel him choosing his words. "Rob," he said, "can I ask you something?" I looked over. He had his hands folded in his lap. He looked tired. "Sure," I said. He opened his mouth, closed it, looked at the TV. "Never mind," he said. "It's nothing." I should have pressed. I should have turned off the TV and asked him what he really wanted to say, but I didn't. I was already thinking about the drive home the next day, about work the following Monday, about a presentation I had to give. "Okay," I said. We sat there a little longer. Then he got up and said he was going to bed. I stayed on the couch. I don't even remember what was on TV. The next morning we packed up and left. I hugged him goodbye. He held on a little longer than usual. I didn't notice. "Take care of yourself," I said. "You too," he said. That was it. 6 weeks later, I got the call. David died in his sleep. Heart attack, the doctor said. It was quick, painless, probably. He was only 46. I couldn't believe it. You never think someone that young, someone you just saw, could just be gone like that. I flew back for the funeral. I stood there and looked at him in that casket, and I couldn't make sense of it. He looked smaller than I remembered. Peaceful, people said. I hated that word. After the service, I went through his things. Dad asked me to. He couldn't do it himself. David didn't have much. Clothes, books, a few tools. But in his desk, I found a letter. It was addressed to me. The envelope wasn't sealed. The letter inside was written in his handwriting, careful, neat. It was dated 2 years earlier. He'd never sent it. I sat on the edge of his bed, and I read it. He told me he was lonely, that he'd been lonely for a long time, that he didn't know how to say it out loud because it felt like admitting failure. He wrote that he was proud of me, of my life, my family, but he also wrote that he missed me, that he wished we talked about real things, that he wanted to know me, not just the version of me that showed up twice a year. He said he'd started writing the letter because he didn't know how else to say it, but then he didn't know how to finish it, so he just didn't. At the end, he wrote, "Maybe next time." I sat there holding that letter, and I realized what he'd tried to ask me that night on the couch. He wanted to know if I still thought about him, if I missed him, if I cared, and I said, okay. I've thought about that moment every day for 33 years. I don't know if it would have changed anything. Maybe he still would have died young. Maybe he still would have felt lonely. But I could have given him something. I could have said, yes, I think about you. I miss you. You matter. I could have turned off the TV. I think about all the times I chose convenience over connection, all the phone calls I cut short, all the visits I postponed. I told myself I was busy. I told myself there would be time, but there wasn't. David never got to hear me say the things I should have said when it mattered, and I never got to hear what he needed to tell me. That's the goodbye I never got to say. Not the one at the funeral. That one doesn't count. I mean the real one. The one where you tell someone that they were important, that they weren't alone, that you saw them. I think about my own kids now, my grandkids. I wonder if I'm doing the same thing, if I'm letting them read lines instead of having conversations, if I'm waiting for next time. I don't want them to find a letter after I'm gone. I'm not telling you this because I figured it out. I'm telling you this because I didn't. If you're listening to this and there's someone you've been meaning to call, someone you've been meaning to really talk to, I don't know. Maybe you don't need me to say it. Maybe you already know. Or maybe like me, you'll know too late. I'm 82 years old. David would have been 79 next month. I still think about him every day, and I still wish I'd said goodbye.